You ever walk into a school and just feel it's different from another one? It's not a coincidence. Every single school is built on a set of invisible plans, these hidden blueprints that decide everything, from the mission statement on the wall to the career path of a brand new teacher. So let's pull back the curtain and take a look at those blueprints together.
And it really all boils down to this one question. Why are some schools all about teaching you to fit into the system, while others are pushing you to stand out and be different? The answer isn't just in the textbooks. It's buried deep in some pretty big ideas about what education is even for.
So to find that answer, we've got to zoom way, way out. We're starting at the highest level possible, the massive societal blueprints that shape the whole purpose of our schools. This is the big why.
Right off the bat, you've got these two big clashing ideas. On one side, you have consensus theory, which says schools are basically the glue holding us all together. But on the other side, you've got conflict theory, which argues that actually schools are part of a power struggle, a tool to keep things unequal.
Let's dig into consensus theory first. A sociologist named Emil Durkheim, he believed that for a society to work, everyone needs to share some core values. And where's the best place to learn those? Yep, school. So from this point of view, the main job of education is to create a stable, harmonious society.
But then you have Karl Marx, who saw things, well, completely differently. He argued that the school system just copies the inequalities that already exist in society. Conflict theory basically says schools can reinforce class divides, kind of teaching students to just accept their place in the world. And that makes you ask a really tough question. Who really benefits from the system as it is?
And believe me, the debate doesn't stop there. You've got other big ideas too, like structural functionalism, which sees school as kind of a giant sorting hat, figuring out who does what job in society. And then there's interactionist theory, which zooms way in and says, forget the big picture for a second. It's the small, everyday interactions in the classroom that really build a student's identity.
All right, so we've talked about the big societal why. Now let's zoom in a level to the what. How do these huge abstract ideas actually create the feeling, the environment, inside a school? Well, this is where we get into school culture.
You know, this quote just nails it. Thinking of it as a personality is the perfect way to understand it. Is the vibe of a school warm and collaborative, or is it more competitive and strict? Is it creative, or is it super traditional? That personality is the culture, and it's built on purpose.
So, how do you build a personality like that? Well, it starts with shared values. The things the school decides are absolutely crucial, like respect or excellence. Those values then lead to norms, which are like the unwritten rules for how everyone's supposed to act. And boom, together, those values and norms shape what everyone in that building does day in and day out.
Okay, but a culture like that doesn't just pop into existence, right? Someone's got to be guiding it. That brings us to our next level of zoom, the who. Who are the people steering the ship and making the decisions that define that school's personality?
When you look at school leaders, they usually fall into one of two main styles. On the left, you have your motivator. This is the transformational leader, the one who gets everyone excited about a big, shared vision for the future. And on the right, you've got the manager, the transactional leader, who makes sure the trains run on time by focusing on rules, rewards, and clear structures.
But you know, it's not always just one person at the top anymore. There's this other really important idea called distributed leadership. It's not about a single hero leader. It's about sharing the power and the responsibility. It's this idea that great ideas can come from anywhere in the school, and that teachers should be empowered to lead too.
And this is what that actually looks like in practice, right? You've got the principal who's setting that big picture vision. But then you have a department head who's mentoring teachers and making sure the curriculum fits together. And then you've got teacher leaders on the front lines trying out new things and helping their colleagues. See, it's a team effort.
So we've gone from society to the school to the leaders. Now for our final, most focused zoom in, the how. How does all of this theory and culture come together to make a real, concrete plan for a teacher's career? Let's check out a real-world example to see how it works.
For this, we're going to look at a fantastic real-world example, the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, or PPST for short. This is a national blueprint for what makes a great teacher and how they can grow in their career. What's so cool about it is that it kind of blends those old ideas we talked about. It uses a clear, structured system to create cohesion, that's a nod to consensus theory, but it also creates pathways for teachers to advance, which helps address the inequalities that conflict theory warns us about.
So at its core, the PPST is built on 7 key areas, or domains.
And these cover everything a teacher needs to be good at, from knowing their subject matter inside and out, to creating a great learning environment, all the way to connecting with the community.
And then, within those 7 domains, a teacher's entire career path is laid out across 4 clear stages. And this isn't just about how long you've been teaching. It's about your actual level of skill and expertise.
And here's what that journey looks like. You start out as a beginning teacher. Then you become proficient as you really get the hang of things. From there, you can become a highly proficient teacher, where you start mentoring others. And at the top, you can become a distinguished teacher, a true leader and innovator for the entire field.
You can really see this whole roadmap laid out. There's this clear upward path on the left, moving from one career stage to the next, and those stages line up perfectly with actual job titles, from Teacher I all the way up to Master Teacher. It's a real, tangible plan that connects those huge societal theories all the way down to one person's professional life.
So let's just trace our steps back for a second. We started with the biggest blueprint of all, society's ideas about what school is for.
Then we saw how that huge blueprint helps create the specific personality, the culture of an individual school.
And finally, we saw how all of that gets turned into a real step-by-step roadmap for a teacher's entire career. Every single level is connected.
You see, these blueprints, whether we notice them or not, they have shaped every school that we know. They define how we see students, teachers, and learning itself. And that leaves us with one last really important question. What blueprint should we be using to build the schools of tomorrow?